Welcome to Tim Allen 1337's class choosing guide. I am making this largely because of the open beta for Xbox that is coming out November 8th. And you guys have to make a major decision. Even though the open beta likely won't carry over into the main release of the game, you should still try out classes that are relevant within the meta of the game currently. I've been playing this game for 2.5 years, been creating content a little over a year, so I figured it would be a great idea to share a little bit of my experience and my knowledge of the current meta of the game for fresh players on PC and Xbox alike. So what we're going to do is just a quick little rating system, the same system that's used within the game, which is S, A, B, and C, C being the worst. So we're going to go through small-scale 1v1 capabilities, large-scale PvP, high-end PvE, efficiency, which means how much gear do you need for the class to really shine, and then we'll have a skill cap and a how easy to pick up is the class, because what they show you right here is not enough information to pick your class, and your investment into this game largely depends on your actual character's class, and your inventory slots, your weight, all the extra stuff that you buy for your character does not transfer over. So you want to be careful and make an informed decision about what class you pick up first. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to start with Warrior. I played Warrior for a long time. It used to be a very good class. Right now it's suffering quite a bit. So let me just hit the high notes here. In a small scale 1v1, I give Warrior an A. That's really where Warrior shines the best. It takes a lot of skill, however, to be able to make it shine, and quite a bit of gear. Large scale PvP, I rated a B. Again, kind of for the same reason. It's just not a very protected class. They get knocked down pretty easily, and they're not as tanky as the name Warrior may lend to. Then we move on to high-end PvE. I give it a C. It just doesn't put out the damage on mobs like it does on players. So it suffers quite a bit. It's possible, but it's very inefficient. Then we move on to efficiency. I rate the Warrior's efficiency as a B. If you have decent gear, you can do damage, but unfortunately the class itself just is lacking. Skill cap is an A, easy to pick up as well. Give that an A too. So you can do some fancy stuff with Warrior, or you can just swing your greatsword around. So let's move on to Ranger here. Ranger is a assassin-type class, very fragile, but puts out a lot of damage. The combos are a little complicated and hard to repeat, but once you get it down, it's a very scary class. So let's jump right into it. Small scale 1v1. This class gets an S. It's incredible. It's hard to fight 1v1. As soon as you grab somebody, they're dead. Large scale PvP, I give it a B+. They're so fragile. If you get caught by a witch or wizard, even just kind of a flow skill or something like that, you're likely dead. Your positioning has to be incredible to be effective as a ranger. And then we move on to high-end PvE. It's possible. They do very well in high-end PvE. They suffer from movement lacking. Their skills take a lot of stamina, and sometimes we like to call it run out of breath. And then efficiency is also an A. You don't need much gear for Ranger to really start shining. How easy is it to pick up? I'd give it a B. It takes a while to get those combos down. And what's the skill cap on it? Also a B. There's only 1 or 2 combos you really need to have down, and you can cheese people pretty well. So this is kind of our go-to assassin class right now. Moving on to Sorceress, one of the best classes in the game. She's a beautiful character, lots of customization too. So let's start with the small scale in 1v1, probably one of the best classes. I rate her an S, maybe even an S+, if that's a thing. Large scale PvP, also an S. The fact that she iframes, she has something called an iframe, which makes her invulnerable. You can't see her, you can't hit her, and then she comes out of that into frontal guards and super armor. She's very hard to catch out, and she has a ton of damage in her kit. Also, her awakening weapon is a really cool scythe. High-end PvE, S+, one of the best grinders. You can go to the hardest places. You can grind it incredibly efficiently and make a ton of money. Efficiency of the class, I rate that about an A. You do need some gear. Once you get that gear, this class really starts to shine. How easy is it to pick up? I rate that a C. This is a very difficult class to pick up and master, so I also give the skill cap an S, because the outplay potential on this is absolutely insane. Let's move on to Lawn. This is the latest class that's been released. If it's not in Xbox, I wouldn't be surprised, at least for the open beta. Very beautiful class, lots of flowing and jumping, very combo-oriented, but unfortunately it's very ineffective in every way in this game. So small-scale 1v1 is probably the place that she does the best. Unfortunately, the large-scale PvP, there's really not a use for her. She can fly into a base and interrupt rebuilds and stuff like that, but that's not something most guilds really utilize for large-scale PvP. High-end PvE, possible, not probable. There's a couple of streamers that use the lawn to do a high-end PvE place, and they do okay, but it's not really something you want to choose for a high-end grind. And then the efficiency of this class is a C. You need a ton of gear for this class to shine. And it really only kind of grinds high-end places and kind of does 1v1s. So Lawn is not in a good spot right now. It is a fun class, though, to kind of mess around with. Easy to pick up, not really a skill cap. We're not really sure because we don't have a ton of great Lawns playing. So again, a newer class, we don't have that much information on it. Berserker. One of the tankiest classes in the game, obviously by the stature, you'd hope so at least. They get up off the ground a little quicker, they have a lot of damage, and again, they have a lot of health. So let's go through the ratings here. As far as small scale 1v1, rated an A+. They have a lot of protected movement, they have a ton of grapples, which is something you really can't defend yourself against, and their follow-up damage is incredible. So I give them an A+ for that. I also give them an A+ for large-scale PvP. They can lock a lot of people up with their ultimates. They can snipe people down with their awakening weapon is actually a hand cannon. It's pretty cool. So they have the range, the ability to get those picks, and then put a lot of damage down too. So that's an A+. High-end PvP, I give it an A. It's hard to tell. A lot of people who hack use Berserkers, but also if you have the gear, you can do some of that high-end PvEing. And then we move on to efficiency. The efficiency's there. You gotta have some gear to make it work, just like most classes. I give it a B on efficiency. The skill cap's pretty high. I give that an A, and it's not very easy to pick up, so I give it a B. It really takes a lot of time to do that. Another class that's popular but fairly irrelevant is the Tamer class. This is the class that has a pet, an actual pet, like a dog. She can ride it. It's a very fun class, a cool-looking class. Unfortunately, it suffers greatly within the game, however. Not many people play this. Small-scale 1v1, that's really where she shines. If a Tamer that knows what they're doing catches you in a 1v1 situation, you will die. It almost doesn't matter what class you are. Large-scale, I rate her a C, one of the worst. Really just doesn't have a spot. High-end PvE, I rate her a C. Some people can grind really well, but it's just... It's not good. Efficiency, I rate a B, and only because you don't need much gear to be able to kill somebody in a 1v1. Again, still garbage in large scale. How hard is it to master? S. The skill cap's very high. How easy is it to pick up? Not very easy. Rated a B. Move on to Striker, one of the best classes in the game, and my current main in this game. Kind of a monk-type class. Lots of CC, lots of protected movement. Hard to catch them, hard to get them on the ground. Lots of iframes, even, if you weave them in. The Striker is maybe one of the easiest classes to pick up, but it does have a couple weaknesses, so let's dig into it. Small scale 1v1, rated an S. If you grab somebody, if you stun somebody, and you don't even need much gear, you can combo them very easily. This is one of the best classes for 1v1s. Large scale PvP, also an S. One of the best classes. They're very, very tanky. Hard to kill, hard to catch out. Their movement around a huge ball of witches and wizards is kind of what makes them shine in a large scale situation. High-end PvE is a B. This is their one weakness. You need a lot of gear, and you need to be really good at staying on top of your rotations to farm out some of these high-end spots. So that's the weakness to Striker. The efficiency of it's really high. You only need 230 or 240 AP to really, really start killing people with a lot more gear than you. So we get an S for efficiency. Skill cap, I'm going to give it an A, and I'm sure people are going to meme on me for this a little bit. This is supposed to be known as a brain-dead class, but once you really dig into the intricacies of this class, and maybe some of the things that aren't so popular to do, there's a couple different ways to skin this cat. There is a high skill cap on Striker. Now, as far as how easy it is to pick up, S, very easy. The Unawakening is not intuitive, but once you get to level 56 and you unlock your Awakening abilities, it's incredibly easy. Let's move on to Musa. This is kind of a flank class, if you will. Probably one of the best or better, squishier classes for flank. They have protected movement. They're incredibly fast. They can get in, interrupt, get out. So let's dig in here. Their small-scale 1v1 suffers a little bit. Good Musas can do it pretty well. So I rate that an A, although it's not very intuitive. Large-scale PvP, S. Musas are very, very useful in large-scale PvP. They can get in, kill a bunch of people with their moves, and get out. Very safe, very quick, very effective. We go into high-end PvE. The high-end stuff is hard. Normal grind spots, Musa does very well with their quick abilities and quick movement, but when they get into the higher-end areas, they're just kind of squishy, but they can still be useful. So I rate Musa an A, and then efficiency, I give it a B. They need some gear to really shine. They need quite a bit of gear. Skill cap, A+. You can do a lot with the Musa, and it's not super easy to pick up, so I give it a B. Meihua, the sister class. Just not as good. Again, a beautiful class, good-looking character, lots of customization options, lots of costumes for it as well. Small-scale 1v1, A+. They do really well in 1v1s. You have to know what you're doing. It's a complicated class, but they can do it. Large-scale PvP, unlike the Musa, which I rated an S, I give Meihua a B. The combos are so complicated, and a lot of them are unprotected, that you can really pop a Meihua pretty easily. There's a couple of good streamers that play Meihua, and they're very good at it, and they still have some very, very frustrating node wars and sieges. So I'm going to give Meihua a B. High-end PvE, A, if you have exceptional gear. They can get the mobs down. It is possible. And then efficiency is B. You really need a lot of gear for this class to shine, if it even does shine. And then, so skill cap is A+, maybe bordering to an S, and then ease to pick up is a B-. It's a complicated class. Even though the Unawakening doesn't make it seem so, once you get into the intricacies of the Awakening, it is fairly complicated. Mystic, one of the best classes in the game, the sister class to the Striker, kind of the new hotness, if you will. The 3v3 tournament that was put on really showed how well a Mystic can 1vx, which means fighting more than one person at a time. So let's dig right in here. Small scale 1v1 is S+. This is one of the best classes you can use. Large scale PvP, I rate this an A. I think when it comes to a large scale situation, you'd rather be a Striker. However, when you look at the high-end PvE, this is probably the second best class. It's Sorc and Mystic for high-end PvE. So if you want to go to those really lucrative grind spots and be able to defend yourself, Mystic is the way to go. And they counter Sorc in ways with a grab and having innate magic DP. If you find another Sorc in your grind spot, you have a very good chance of killing that Sorc. Efficiency, I give an S. You really don't need much gear to do a lot with Mystic. You do need more gear on Mystic than you do Striker, but the efficiency is still off the charts. Easy to pick up? Yes. Skill cap? Not really. The skill cap's pretty low on Mystic. So if you're looking to pick up a class that's very well-rounded in many different ways, this is probably my go-to pick. Valkyrie. I barely even want to talk about Valkyrie. This is an old class that needs lots of work. It has a ton of damage. It has a good utility move, but ultimately you're wasting your time if you pick this class. I hate to say it. I can give you letters for ratings, but it just doesn't matter. Pick another class. Also, it's a sister class to Warrior. They use the same main hands. So if you're really dedicated to being one of these two classes, at least pick Warrior. But there's nothing that Warrior does better than Striker or Mystic. Nothing. Kanoa. This is a class that struggled for a long time and is now on top of her game. Kanoa is a sister class to Ninja, which will come up next. So let's dig right in here. Kuno is an S for small scale 1v1. Lots of protected movements, can go invisible, lots of grapples. Really hard class, toxic class to fight 1v1. It's very rewarding to play this class well, although it's not easy. Large scale PvP, I give it A+. You have to play that kind of stealthy ninja flank, hit him from behind, get out, guerrilla warfare tactics kind of stuff. But again, that can be rewarding if that's what you're looking for, and it is useful as a guild leader and a shot caller. High-end PvE, not so good. Probably a B, something like that. I haven't personally done it. That's what I'm guessing. Efficiency is a B. You really do need a lot of gear for Kanoa and Ninja to shine. Not easy to pick up. high skill cap. So this is an investment here. Ninja, likely the better class, in my opinion, is definitely an S for 1v1s. Even if Kunoichi's an S, Ninja is an S+. There's something called block jump that is incredibly difficult to counter, and they have plenty of other moves and complicated combos to style on you, so it's a very rewarding class to master. Large-scale PvP, same as the Kunoichi. High-end PvE, same as the Kunoichi. And then efficiency is a little higher than the Kanoichi. I give Ninja an A instead of a B on efficiency. So, again, very hard to pick up, very high skill cap. Dark Knight. This class is... We're trying to figure out where this class actually sits right now. The problem with it is the efficiency of the gear is so out of whack. You need a ton of gear for Dark Knight to work. She's really cool, though. She's kind of a iframe, assassin, mage. There's no real way to explain it except for those words, I suppose. A lot of her skills and damage come from her sword, and then, or her control rather, and then her damage comes from kind of casting these magical swords. It's a really interesting and fun class to watch and play. But let's dig into the actual effectiveness. So for small scale and 1v1, I rate her a B. It's pretty easy to catch her, even with her iframes, and she just doesn't quite have the tankiness to survive a combo from just about any class. Large scale PvP, I also rate a B because the amount of gear you need to really shine on this class is pretty insane. You need to have top gear. High-end PvE is an A+, though. What she lacks in efficiency in PvP, she makes up for in PvE. They just gut the damage of her skills so much in PvP. I don't really understand why, but she can grind fairly well in the high-end grind spots. And then efficiency is also a B, probably borderline C. Not an easy class to pick up or master, but there's quite a bit of a skill cap to it, so there's room to get good at this class, despite its shortcomings. Now, the holy duo here, Witch and Wizard. So I'm going to... These are the best classes, hands down, for large-scale PvP. All the high-end guilds are comprised of at least mostly witches and wizards. There's other ways to do a composition, but they have a skill called Protected Area that basically makes everybody incredibly tanky for 8 seconds. So everybody casts... It's called PA, or Protected Area. Everybody casts their PA, and then you dive into the other group. First one to survive or lose, or whatever the case is. You have to rotate them, all that kind of stuff. This is a very essential class. If you want to be important and sought after in a large-scale PvP, guild situation, etc., you want to play Witch or Wizard. Now, which one? Witch is a further ranged class that has a block, an active block, which is useful in certain situations. Wizard is a more close-range burst class. So let's just dig through each one, my rating on each one. The 1v1 capabilities on both of these classes are rated as a B. They're not very good 1v1ers. Not to say you can't get really good at this class and style on people in 1v1, just not what they were really built for. Large scale PvP, S+, as I said before, they're the only class with a heal, AoE heal. The Protected Area is incredible. They have good slows, lots of utility, and incredible damage in PvP. They've always been this way, too. I don't ever see them going out of style. High-end PvE, I give S ranks to both of them. They do have their shortcomings, but with their teleporting has a cooldown, but you can also teleport very far. So I rate them an S. Some people are a little not happy about their grinding. And then efficiency, I give Wizard an S and Witch an S+. You don't need much gear on these classes at all to shine. You don't need much gear at all for these to shine and to be able to kill some high-end mobs too. Skill cap on them is very high, but they're also very easy to pick up. The more time you spend with them, the better off you'll be. So if it comes down to it, my personal preference, I would probably pick a Witch. Having an active block is really cool. Having a grab on a Wizard doesn't really translate too well into what you're going to end up using this class for. So that is my big sweaty rundown of all the classes in Black Desert Online. My next video will be about some of the combat basics, what super armor means, what an iframe is, frontal guard, 360 super armors, all that kind of stuff. So make sure you subscribe. Also, a quick shout out, if you are playing on PC, I am sponsored by noping.com. I got a link in the bottom. It will cut your ping way down. I don't care where you live. In the United States, in Australia, in any part of the world. They have routes all over the world. I use it. I love it. Most of us playing BDO do too. Try it out for free. Links in the bottom in the description. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you guys later.